the whole Nico Iamaleava thing, I have removed myself entirely from even paying attention to where specifically he's going to land. And it's not because I have any animus towards the player. I'll actually talk about that in a second. For the record, it's Thursday night right now. We're live. It looks like it's probably going to be UCLA where he lands, but I don't know. But also for the purposes of like how I feel about it and what I think the bigger overarching takeaways and impact of it is going to be, I don't really even think it matters. Now, that's not speaking about him. It very much matters for him as a player where he lands. I wish nothing but the best for him. I know our brethren here in the state of Tennessee don't all feel that way. That's okay. I think the more and more you get down the road, the more and more the whole story comes out about kind of how this went down. Not that I'm like keeping anything from you. I'm not hiding some secret over here. I just think the more thoroughly the story is told, the more and more the blame will be redirected towards where it should be. I know he's an adult. I know he can think for himself. I know he's responsible for who represents him ultimately. I know all that. I also know how old he is, and I know how jacked up a lot of these situations are. So UCLA probably for Nico Iamaleava, but I've been so surprised by some of the reaction I've gotten this week from people inside college football. Because you would think that people inside college football, coaches, general managers, administrative types, you would think they're looking at this situation sad or dejected or just turned off or resigned to the inevitable decline of college football. None of the above. The most surprising thing to me, the most surprising thing that I've experienced about this entire Nico Iamaleava Tennessee fallout is how excited coaches have been about it. How excited administrative types have been about it, athletic directors, how excited they've been about it. You may hear that and say, how? This situation sucks for everybody. That's true. Here's the difference. Many people just became aware of how big a mess college football is in this week. Maybe not people who watch this show because we're immersed in college football year round. But most people don't immerse themselves in college football year round. Even a lot of fans are only on the periphery of the inner workings of the sport. So trust me, millions and millions of people just in the past week have figured out how messed up college football is. Well, here's the thing. Coaches have known for a long time. A lot of us have known for a long time. And it's kind of like, from a coach's perspective, you've complained, but you're so limited in what you can complain about because you're a multimillionaire. So anytime Steve Sarkisian or Mike Gundy or Brett Bielema or whoever it may be, anytime they complain, it's going to fall on deaf ears to a point because they're millionaires. They don't deserve the right to complain because they're rich. Okay, so they've been very hesitant to complain about it. And no one really cares about the complaints of an athletic director, and most of that's done in private anyway. And so they've known, they've vocalized it. Some people in the media have spoken about it. We've spoken about it on this show from time to time. But now finally, it's everywhere. Now finally, the mess is being vocalized from corner to corner of the industry, of the sporting industry, of general society. Everyone's taken notice. And you know what that does? It raises awareness, and it finally forces people, even if you had to peel their eyelids and staple them to the back of their foreheads and shake them and say, look, it forces them to see how messed up things are right now. There's an awareness that college athletics is very important. It is a very, very important layer of the fabric of our society. I said that the other day. I didn't say that hyperbolically. I mean, if you grow up in the United States of America, there are things that are unique to American society. Now, you may not even care about sports, but even if you don't care about sports, you understand a lot of folks love this stuff. So it's probably pretty important to defining the fabric of overall American society. College football's part of that, man. Whether you yourself love it or not, college football's part of that. The college athletic experience is part of that. Hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're not, I humbly ask that you click subscribe. It's free. It doesn't sign you up for anything. What it does is it helps us keep this show free so we can just do college football year round. All right, back to the clip. And I'm not sitting here telling you whether Nico Iamaleava stays at Tennessee or goes to UCLA is going to crumble the entire castle, but a lot of the issues that face college football that have had light shown on them because of this situation, those could do long-term damage. No one person, no one instance, but long-term that can do damage. It can erode the credibility and the integrity of an imperfect sport, but an awesome sport. And so Coach has been excited about it. It's the craziest thing. You would think that here we go again. And instead it's like, finally, all right, here we go. So that's been the first thing. The second thing, because of that, is I think a ton of good is going to come from this. Number one, like I just said, it forces people to be aware. And believe it or not, even though we've had piss poor leadership in college athletics, there are some leaders out there. More importantly, there are people capable of leading that to this point have remained on the sidelines, that will begrudgingly now be forced into action. I do believe that long term, and that'll manifest itself in many different ways, mostly unforeseen, but many different ways. But the third part of that is, have you noticed how much more freely a lot of coaches are speaking on this now? Not right now, but later in the show, I'm going to play you some sound from Fran Brown up at Syracuse, who said something the other day about just a kid not being worth what he's asking for. And, he's right, of course, but I'm telling you, that stuff has been said behind the scenes. No one's really said that publicly lately until now. And so there's a lot of unspoken truth in the room of college football that all of a sudden people feel a lot freer in expressing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing because, as I've told you very, very often, I believe a very small vocal minority has been driving the position on this issue. And the vast majority of us look and note, this probably is not good for the overall state of this game, college football. It's probably not good for the overall state of college athletics. It's not even good for the athletes. And there are a lot of people painting themselves as representing those athletes that themselves are not good for the athletes. So I think a lot of good's going to end up coming from this. I also think that you've got a cautionary tale here. This is the way it always works. There has to be some collateral damage in order for a greater good to be achieved. For Nico Iamaleava, he may be the poster child for that. I'm telling you, I am not lying to you when I say I am pulling for him to pull the nose gear up moving forward. Got zero ill will towards him as the player, but facts are facts. He allowed himself to get in a really, really poor situation. He is now, and I'm going to use this term loosely, relatively suffering the consequences in the most light pencil form of the word suffering. He is suffering the consequences of it. He's only going to earn low seven figures now. That's the kind of suffering we're talking about. But relative to what his earnings potential is, yes, he put himself in a disadvantaged position. However, everybody saw it. So current players saw it. Future players who are juniors in high school right now saw it. Think about how many guys have had their eyes opened about how detrimental poor representation can be to your career. And think about how many potential clusters may be avoided because of simply observing what Nico Iamaleava just went through. Think about how overhauled the overall space of representation could be because of this. As I have tried to reiterate as many times as I can on the show, this is as Wild West as it gets. In college football representation right now, you don't have to be a certified anything. If you are drawing breath, you're capable of being an agent for a college football player. In the NFL, they figured this stuff out. In pro sports, they figured this stuff out a long time ago. And you've got certification, and there's a maximum percentage that you're able to take as a certified agent for representing a middle linebacker who plays for the Falcons right now but is about to be a free agent. We have none of that. None of that. Colin could stop directing this show midstream right now and go represent a slot receiver for Tennessee, charge him 15%, and if folks are ignorant enough to sign on the dotted line, hey, good for Colin. Not good for anyone else, but good for Colin. Now, we all know Director Colin to be a fine and upstanding individual. He'd never do that. But not everyone has the moral compass that Director Colin has. And therefore, you have a lot of parasites out there. It's just that maybe they don't get quite as much business because people know to ask the right questions in the future because of the Nico Amaliava drama. I did see the front office sports story the other day, yesterday I think it was. Many of you asked if I saw it, which I think I retweeted a screenshot of it. Confirmed. I screenshot it, didn't I, Grishy? I screenshot it, past tense of screenshot. And so, yes, it is a fact that I read the front office sports story, but if you didn't, front office sports does really good work. They got some people from Nico's camp, anonymously, shocker, to give some quotes about the situation. And they, of course, they talked about how the facts had been misrepresented. They talked about how there were a lot of narratives out there that were BS. But the most important hammer home point they wanted to deliver was he has not been given bad advice. He has not been misled. Just pause for effect there. Two things are probably true there. They probably fully believe what they're saying, and it's also a complete lie. The common thread that you'll find with some people who give the worst advice is they're the last ones to realize they're giving the terrible advice. That, unfortunately, kids, is not just limited to the world of college football. Get used to that. And on your part, learn who and who not to listen to. So I did read that. It is what it is. One of those classic it is what it is sort of stories. You just read it, you shake your head, and you think to yourself, boy, I hope someone else is learning from this right now. But I want to tell you, Nico notwithstanding, Tennessee or UCLA notwithstanding, I said Sunday night, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, more so than any one school or any one player's best interest. I care about the best interest of college football. Therefore, what I root for, what I push for, what I hope for will be measures taken that are in the best interest of college football. And I cannot tell you in strong enough terms how far this incident has gone to push us in the right direction for a change. Because people who were slow, people who may have been the last holdouts to admit that we've got a possibly terminal problem with college athletics are now forced to acknowledge it because it's there. It's incontrovertible. It is Armageddon, and you can see the asteroid in the telescope. There's no more denying it. It's there. And now it's what are we going to do about it? Now, you will have differences of opinion in what we're going to do about it, but how refreshing, at least, for college athletics to be on step 2 of the process. Step 1 was, can we all admit we got an issue? Well, now we're past that. All right, everyone and their mother knows we have an issue. Now, step 2 is, what do we do? Do we make them all employees? Do we get help from Congress? And you and I can reasonably differ on which path we think is the best, but either of those paths is better than what we have now. And so, what I'm telling you, refreshingly, is from phone call after phone call and text after text that I've engaged in this week, it's all positive as it relates to the future. This has been a terrible situation. The tentacles of it are far-reaching, and the overwhelming feel is it's about to pull us in a proper direction for a change. So you know what? If this is what, I say we had to go through, we didn't go through anything, but if someone had to go through this, I'll pull for the kid on the other side, but if it's for the long-term betterment of college athletics, then it's worth it. That's easy for me to say because I just sit in a chair and talk. But I'm willing. I'm willing to make that trade. Some of you, no, I'm not, I was going to do that scene from Shrek, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I don't think everyone's seen the movie. And that includes me. I've just seen the clip.